Well, unlike what you just heard from me, this just in, Fed ties rate hike to economic rebound, sees balance sheet cuts in 2017. Reuters is basically taking issue with the fact that I thought, Steve Aledort, how you doing, Steve?
Doing well.
I thought for certain that they were going to raise rates in June. I mean, they've been talking about this for months now. So let's start with that. The Federal Reserve, are they going to raise rates in June? This Reuters story doesn't seem to think so.
Well, you know, now this prior to, and I was hearing the first part of your show as I was driving in, that there was a change and an increase in
first quarter GDP.
In first quarter GDP, but they're definitely noticed a slowdown in the first quarter of 2017. With a combination of spending, the inflation level they want to see at 2%, didn't quite hit that. So a lot of the Fed chairs, people who are making the decision, sat back and said, all right, we're not going to aggressively say we are going to make a move. We want to see what the reports look like before we make a decision. I think sometime this month, the 12th through the 13th, when they're going to meet next. So I think at this point, there's potentially a 50-50 chance that they're going to raise short-term rates at their next meeting.
All right, so speaking of that, the mortgage market does not respond necessarily to short-term interest rates. So this should not have, if they raise rates or they don't raise rates, it shouldn't have a dramatic impact on mortgage loans, correct?
Only if the market predicts one thing and another thing happens. So I haven't seen on the mortgage side, because remember with mortgages, it's not what just happened, it's what they think that's going to happen down the line. And that's how they price the 10-year note and the mortgage-backed securities. And we've seen that now drop down to 2.22. I think it got up to about 2.5, maybe a little bit higher at its highest level.
Yeah, it's come back down quite substantially. And that obviously is good from the standpoint of so many of us who have relied on these low interest rates to finance our companies, to finance home purchases, to finance construction spending, et cetera, et cetera. Now, shifting gears a bit, because I get this all the time, and people don't seem to understand this one. And that is, I hear I'm house rich, retirement plan rich, and cash poor. I'd like to buy a new home, I want to upgrade, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they just believe that their retirement plan is hands off. And I tell them, no, talk to Steve.
Yeah, as far as, I get calls, because I do a lot of transactions for people that are retired, have a lot of different streams of income. And I have quite a few that will call up and say, hey, I'm retired. I have, an account that I'm pulling money from. It's not a retirement account, but I'm now being told I can't use that and I can't qualify for a loan. And then I'll go on and I'll find out, do you have a retirement account? Well, yes, I do. And of course, it makes more sense if you have both a non-qualified account where you don't have to pay taxes on. Generally, you want to draw from that account before you draw from an account where you're going to pay taxes on. But if you do have a retirement account, we can actually, depending upon what's in that account, what we're required to do is let's say you've got $200,000 in that account. I have to give it a 70% value based on taxes and all that stuff.
So $200,000 times 70%.
So you're looking at $140,000. And I have to make sure that there's at least a 3-year draw period of what you're taking out from that account, or if we need...
Well, 3 years, hang on. How do you calculate that? Is $140,000? Do you divide that by the number of years in the loan? Like 30 years?
So let's say we need $3,000 a month to qualify.
Right.
All right? You're pulling money from your regular account, but I can't use that. I can only use the interest and the dividend income on monies that are not retirement accounts. So you may
another one of those stupid rules, but we don't need to go there.
Right. So let's say you're pulling $3,000 a month. That's what we need to qualify. That would then be $36,000 a year. That would be 72, 110, 112,000.
So you could actually divide it by 3, and that's the amount of...
Correct.
So it's 3 years. And so in the 4th year, if you're totally bankrupt and eating dog food, the mortgage company doesn't care.
Correct. So I've got to show a 3-year flow. And what we want to make sure of is if we're looking to qualify, we don't want it just to be right
Sure.
at 3 years. We want to give it a little bit of time. I'm working with a client right now. Actually, they're not married, but they've lived together for a long time. The wife, not the wife, I'm sorry, but the female, she's taking out $5,000 a month from a non-qualified account. I can't use that monthly distribution
To qualify for a mortgage.
Correct. Now, she's been showing about $20,000 annual for interest and dividend income earned from that account that she's pulling the $5,000 from. So I can use that, but that's only, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a month. She's got, I believe, Social Security coming in, and the gentleman, her significant other, waited until he was 67 and a half and just started pulling Social Security at about $3,100 a month. However, prior to that, he has a retirement account that he's doing a distribution on. He's got about $160,000 in that account, and he's been pulling about $6,000 a month. This was prior to his Social Security distribution.
Are they buying the house together?
Correct. So with how his current setup is, I've got to take his $165,000 at 70%, which is $115,500, and at $6,000 a month, he only has about 18, 19 months left. So I would not be able to use that income. However, when I mentioned to him, here's how we work the system, is if you can drop your distribution from $5,000 to $6,000 a month down to $2,500 a month, then I'm going to have 42, 43 months worth of income stream, and now we can use that for qualifying on a home mortgage, and now I'm able to qualify them.
So you take his Social Security, the $2,500, her $20,000 in dividend income, but not her non-qualified distribution.
Correct, and her Social
Security, and they're making $10,000 a month or whatever the number is, and that's what you use to qualify for the loan.
Yeah, and at the time that we're done after the transaction, if he wants to move or adjust what he's drawing out of that account, he certainly can.
It's brilliant stuff. Steve Aledort, the loan financial planner, what he just did is true loan financial planning. And Steve, you and I have done this before with many people over the years, and we've discussed even those individuals that are under the age of 59 and a half, tapping in to their retirement funds. I do want to take issue with one thing you said. Not really take issue, because I don't take issue with anything that you say because you're so smart. But when an individual is taking money out of their retirement account, and let's assume they're older than 59 and a half, well, it doesn't even matter. Because if you're under 59 and a half, there are ways to do it under Code Section 72T where you take substantially equal payments. But you said it might be more advantageous from a tax standpoint to take the money out of your non-qualified accounts. That is normally true, except that under current law and hopefully under future law, mortgage interest and property taxes is a tax-deductible expense. So if they take the money out of their retirement account and it's offset by the amount of mortgage interest and property tax that they're paying, they're taking money out what is tantamount to tax-free because it's offset.
Correct. And that's, first of all, it's one of the reasons why I said might, because there are always situations where if you access money from your retirement account for specific type of investments like buying a home, you put yourself in better position. But that then is the reason why it's so important to not only have a good financial advisor that will let you know how that works, but if you're looking to move that money in the real estate or mortgage market, to have a loan professional that can help you potentially qualify and show you how to manage the money on that side.
See, I think you and I should go out and tag team. I think we should tag team. What do you think about that? Good idea? All right.
We could do it.
Let's see, Aledort Lucia or Lucia Aledort?
Well, we'd have to come up with stage names.
Oh, okay. Mutt and Jeff.
But there we go, Mutt and Jeff.
Steve Aledort, the loan financial planner. Just go to his website, loanfinancialplanner.com, or give him a buzz, 888-563-1070, 888-563-1070. He will get you in that dream home that you've been thinking about. There are ways to do it. If you have retirement accounts, even if you're under the age of 59 and a half, Steve, I know Steve's done this because he and I used to do it back in the day when I was actually doing this stuff for a living. Now I flap my jaw for a living, but I flap it with you on a weekly basis, and I do appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, and I appreciate coming in here.
You do such a fantastic job. Steve Aledort, loanfinancialplanner.com. Loanfinancialplanner.com. Forward mortgages, reverse mortgages, loan consulting, debt consolidation, all of that stuff. Steve works on it. Thank you, buddy. I do appreciate it. You take care of yourself now.
See you next week.
Y'all come back now, yeah?
We'll do that.
All right, when we